Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. I came all the way back from Boston to be in this studio.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Yeah, we both traveled to get here today. Up top. Up top. What? No? I traveled?
You traveled like 3.2 miles. I flew from Logan.
I know, but it was a hot day, and it was tough. Yeah. And if the car hadn't been waiting for me, it would have been really tough.
I had to navigate all those Dunkin' Donuts in Boston to get to Logan to get
Look at me, man. I'm like the mayor of Dunkin', you know? Hey, we're twins today, except your clothes are so much more expensive. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Rory McIlroy reflects, Max Scherzer, Warrior God, is ready to return, and PK Subban joins us to preview tonight's Game 5 between the Oilers and Panthers. But we begin today with the end of the NBA Finals. Boston dominated Dallas from the middle of the first quarter on, finally winning by 18 points, winning the series 4-1. Wilbon, you were there for every game. What did this series boil down to?
A better team. Boston's a better team. And Dallas didn't have anybody other than Kyrie Irving, who did not play well at all, stunk it up on the road, played well in 2 games at home. But that crowd, let me give him some credit for admitting it got to him. All right? And he got what he deserved from Boston. He did. I mean, he turned on them. They said, have some of this.
Right.
So Kyrie Irving plays half the series. That's not going to get it done. And also, Luka Doncic still navigating his way, trying to figure out whether he wants to be a truly great player or not. Meanwhile, Boston had already been through all of these issues in multiple conference finals, in a finals where they lost to Steph Curry and a real championship team in Golden State. So when you get Tatum and Brown, all right, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown playing like that, and you get the support from the other players, it looks like a real Celtics team. Like all the Celtics teams had great players, whether you're talking about Russell and Kuzi or Cowens and Havlicek or Bird and Parrish and McHale, but they also had great support players.
That's right.
And that in Drew Holiday, I hate to reduce Drew Holiday to that, and Horford. And, I mean, they got great support. They got a great ensemble, and they were the better team.
So I'm okay with the celebration of Boston, but I want to add a certain dose of reality here.
Okay.
This was a bad series, okay?
It was.
Dallas was an inferior opponent. It was a mismatch. It was a bad product for the NBA. And I'll tell you what, not a single game went down to the last shot.
No.
Not a single game even went down to the last minute in this thing. It was... You talked about Kyrie Irving, absolutely awful in Boston, and that's karma. Yeah. His numbers in Boston, 18 out of 53 from the field, 3 of 17 from 3.
Like
Not the games, Boston dominated the entire playoffs and dominated this part of it. They won series 4-1, 4-1, 4-0, 4-1. They were the best team out there all the time, and It was, again, it's a mismatch.
Yeah, it was, Tony. And look, I had my doubts about Boston. I would voice them to you in texts and phone calls off the air. And here's why. One reason. Because they beat Miami without Jimmy Butler.
I understand.
They beat Cleveland mostly without Donovan Mitchell and one of the bigs on Cleveland.
Jared Allen.
Yeah. They beat Indiana essentially without Halliburton very much. And so they won those series, and I'm thinking, all right, I need to see something.
And I get that.
And in Dallas, you're right. Dallas did not put up a challenge in the game they had to Game 3 at home.
Here's what's important about Dallas. And Dallas got there fair and square. Yeah. Their players were healthy. I mean, you could say Doncic wasn't healthy, but he was the same for the whole game. They didn't get to 100 points in the 4 games that they lost. Boston won by an average of 12 and a half.
We're going to look back at Boston, and their stars are young enough.
Great run.
In
these
and
playoffs.
Tony, but you know what? You covered the league longer than me. You know, in that league, you got to win multiples.
No,
you do.
We'll get to that.
So to be pronounced,
we're going to get to that.
Leads
I'm
into
just
it,
saying to you,
these guys.
There was not a signature moment in the entire finals. The signature moment of the playoffs was Jaylen Brown in the corner hitting a 3, forcing overtime.
Game 1.
That was it. All right, I got to keep going. Let's stay with the NBA. This will make you happy, and we will look forward.
All right.
The last 6 NBA champions have been one and done. The last time that scenario occurred was 1980.
Wow.
In between were a lot of repeat champions, mostly the Lakers, Celtics, and your Bulls.
Spurs.
Wilbon, were they repeats? I don't think so. Do you like Boston's chances of breaking the string of one-off champions?
Not really. And I don't want people to think he's hating on the Celtics. No, I'm not hating on the Celtics. I think what the Celtics just did, given the number of teams that were challengers, legit challengers, the old NBA, Tony, was top heavy. You always had 3 or 4 teams, and you knew by the time you got to April, okay, we're going to get these 2, and maybe you get an upset. But it was top heavy, a top heavy league. That's not the case anymore. So the Celtics next year, and I know the East looks like a walkover. I think Philly's going to get better. I think the Knicks healthy are a challenger anyway. And then you got Minnesota, Denver, Dallas, OKC. Maybe Phoenix tweaks it a little bit, and they mount a challenge. There's so many good teams and great players, and you can't amass them all. There's no more big 3. A lot of people are going to have 2 good players and can challenge you. And Denver a year ago, people were saying, oh, Denver's primed to repeat. No, they didn't repeat, and I don't know that Boston will either.
Let me say this. I think Boston is a really good team.
They are.
I think they went through the playoffs great.
Yep.
Okay, so 16-3, 7-1 on the road. I think if Porzingis is completely healthy, they may be a great team. I think that you could have given the Finals MVP to the collective team or any one of 4 guys. Because let's look at this for a second. Porzingis off the bench wins game 1. Holiday wins game 2. Jaylen Brown's the best player out there in game 3, and Tatum is in 4, and White is a ferocious offensive and defensive player. So to bet against them is pretty crazy.
I'm going to take the field.
Okay.
Early on.
And I probably
just think
will
there's
as well.
so many good teams.
Yeah.
You can get worn down. Now, look, in the East, it's easier to go through. But I think, let me just give you for instance. Philly has $50 million to spend. I'd spend it on Paul George and put him with Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, and I think you have a challenger.
So this is what I'm saying to you.
Your Knicks are healthy. They're a challenger.
This is what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
That in the NBA, this is not the NFL where you have to be crazy to bet against Mahomes. It's not that. In the NBA, one free agent in a strategic place can change everything around. In the bubble, Anthony Davis has done that. Okay? Boston, though, Boston is built for the near term in this regard. Their roster is set. They have no free agents. Brad Stevens did a great job. They have no free agents. I think they have 2 important players over 30.
Retire,
well, they have 2 important. They have Horford and Holiday. Yeah. But I agree with you that Denver is good. I'm tired of you telling me how great the West is because the West got ripped in this particular series. But Denver is good. Minnesota is good. Oklahoma City is good. I think Milwaukee made a tremendous mistake trading for Damian Lillard. But Philadelphia may be good. Here's the point I want to make.
You won't even mention the Knicks.
I'm not mentioning the Knicks. Here's the point I want to make. In the landscape of the NBA right now, I don't see Bird, McHale, and Parrish. I don't see Shaq and Kobe. I don't see Jordan. That's the stuff dynasties are made of. Yeah. So, are the Celtics made of dynastic material? I don't know. I think there are too many challenges.
Okay. I think next year's a free-for-all. It's a battle royale. And look, they're the favorites, and they should be the favorites, the betting favorites, and thought of that way because of what they just did. Taking the field. I'm just saying. Let's move to Rory McIlroy's agony of defeat. Rory bogeyed 3 of the last 4 holes in Sunday's collapse at the U.S. Open. Oof. He then left the course without talking to the media. Worse yet, he didn't even congratulate his opponent. He's now released a statement calling it probably the toughest day he's had in his 17 years as a pro, vowing to show his resilience and belatedly congratulating Bryson DeChambeau on the win. Tone, how did Rory's statement sound to you?
First of all, and I'm going to agree with you on this, it's nice that he issued a statement, but it was a day after the event. He should have met with the press directly after the event on Sunday, but I digress. How did it sound to me? I will remind you that yesterday morning on my podcast, we talked about Rory, and I said to you that in real time, when I saw him miss the second putt and felt that he was going to lose then, I sort of thought, is this a career ender? And you said to me, of course not. You said to me, people choke and then they come back from it. But what I'm saying to you is this was a very public stage at the Open. This is now 10 years since he has won a major. His talking about the Saudi Tour and the PGA Tour has been out there for a while, and he's been the most demonstrative player on the PGA Tour about it. And now his personal life is out there for all the public to see. And maybe, Mike, maybe the accumulation of all those things becomes too heavy to bear? I know he's going to play in the Scottish Open. I know he's going to play in the British Open. And like you, I hope he wins them both.
Yeah, I do.
But he has had public failures at the Masters. He's had this public failure now at the Open. He had a public failure in Northern Ireland in his home country when he didn't make the cut at Royal Port Rush. Yeah. Brick after brick after brick. When does it become too heavy?
Okay, but how many things did Tiger have and he's still trying to play?
Well, he can't play anymore.
Right.
Right.
He can't play, and he's still out there trying to play, and he had many more things than Rory. Public things, because he's a bigger figure than Rory. And the stage was always bigger when Tiger was on it. I hear what you're saying. And it gave me pause yesterday. The first thing I heard when he said he's not going to play for a couple of weeks, I said, oh, my God, I got to call Tony.
He's licking his wounds. That's what he's doing.
But he better not curl up in a fetal position. You're a professional athlete. You get through this. You do what you need to do. You call your boys. He and Tiger are apparently still close. You know, go hang out with him, play a few rounds. I don't want to hear.
Did Van de Velde come back? Did Norman come back?
Van de Velde was a
Norman was ranked #1 in the world. Did he come back?
Norman didn't quit. He kept playing.
Well, Rory's not going to quit.
Better not.
I'm just asking you, when do the bricks weigh you down?
Rory, what's Rory? 34 years old, 35? Is he 35 yet?
I would say this, younger than us, put together. Let's take a break. Coming up, the Panthers pulled Sergei Bobrovsky in Game 4. Will that linger? We're going to ask PK Subban.
We're also going to ask him if the Oilers figured out something in that 8-1 blowout.
I want him to win.
Me too.
I want him to win. But you're right. He should have congratulated the winner, and he should have met the press.
Don't go Pistons.
He's always there when he wants prize money to be bigger. Right? He advances his own agenda, as we all do.
It looks bad.
The Oilers try to push the Panthers to a Game 6 tonight, and joining us from his Miami hotel room via FaceTime is our great friend, ESPN hockey analyst PK Subban, who usually comes to us, Wilbon, in an $8,000 shirt and is now wearing a T-shirt.
Because he just got a fresh cut. He got an $8,000 cut he's working on right now.
Okay.
Come on now.
I'm just saying that now he's our pal and he doesn't have to dress for us. Let's start with this. Panthers goalie Sergei Bobrovsky got yanked from Game 4, giving up 5 goals and giving them up quick. Do you expect something like that to linger with him?
Absolutely not. He's been great throughout his career. He's always bounced back. And this season, he's been 1, if not 2, in terms of the top goaltenders in the league. This guy is as even-keeled as they come. He never gets too high, never gets too low. I think this will be one of his best games of the season, actually.
Well, he needs to, following getting yanked and his team giving up 8 goals. PK, was that a one-off in your mind, or did the Oilers find something, anything?
Well, a couple issues. First of all, Florida Panthers got to get back to their game. They're letting Edmonton use their speed, which is the big advantage in the series for them. If Edmonton gets open ice, especially in the neutral zone and through the middle of the ice, Connor McDavid, you're going to let the best player in the world walk through the middle of the ice, you're going to end up with 4 points at the end of the night. Outside of that, all of their depth players got going. So that's got to be scary for Florida because Fogle, Holloway, all of these depth guys, Connor Brown, they all had a huge impact in Game 4. So, for the Florida Panthers, they got to get back to their game. If they do that, it'll definitely slow down the Edmonton Oilers.
All right, in your career, you were involved in all manner of leads and deficits and late in the playoffs. It's a 3-1 lead the Panthers have, but I think I heard you say the other night they should be concerned. Why?
Well, they should be concerned for a couple reasons. Like I said, the depth of the Edmonton Oilers is feeling good about themselves right now. They all had goals, points, and contributed in Game 4. So they're coming into Sunrise confident as hell right now. That's a problem. Second thing, Connor McDavid played his best game of the series. 4 points last game. Here's the even scarier part. Leon Draisaitl still hasn't really showed up in this series. If he shows up today, we're probably heading back to Edmonton for Game 6. So for the Florida Panthers, they have to find their game and find it quickly. This one could be done. Everybody assumes this to finish tonight. I picked Florida to finish this thing in 6. It would not surprise me if it goes back to Edmonton. And if it does, as long as the best player in the world is still playing, I'm never going to bet against Connor McDavid. But my pick right now is Florida in 6. So we got to see. They got to get back to their game tonight to give themselves a chance to end this thing.
So we have conflict. Get you out of here on the last question, but we have conflict here. Because earlier in this conversation, you said you expected Bobrovsky to have one of the great games of the season. Well, the last 2 games at home, he had great games and they won easily. But now you're saying Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, and if they get together, then this thing goes back, and then it could go 7 and so on and so forth. So we'll put you right on the spot right now. Do you indeed believe that Edmonton is going to win this game, go back to Edmonton for 6, and then maybe win 7 in Florida?
So exciting that would be.
Tony, my heart says that the Edmonton Oilers have a chance to win this game today, but my mind tells me that the Florida Panthers tossed that game 4 in the trash when it was 3-0, and that building is the loudest building that I've probably ever been in for a hockey game in a long time. Aside from a couple games in Montreal, the energy that the Edmonton Oilers fans brought was astronomical. I believe that this will end tonight. I think the Florida Panthers have to come out and play their best game. You're not going to play your best hockey for 2 months in the playoffs. You're playing good teams. They had one bad game, and really what it was a bad start to the game. Edmonton held it down. They're playing for their lives. Florida, if they match the desperation of the Edmonton Oilers, they'll be hoisting the Stanley Cup today.
Thank you, PK, and it's a really good haircut.
PK,
it's really good.
Fresh. It's a fresh cut.
Hey, you know what I say, Wilbon? If it ain't tight, it ain't right.
There you have it. That's it. I remember those days, PK. It's been a while.
It's been 40 years for you and me both. Let's take one last break. Still to come, the Rangers get blowed out by the Mets, but also get some good news.
And more big ratings for the WNBA. I remember. Fresh cuts.
Yeah.
Tight.
But it
was right.
But it's a long
The
time.
90s.
It's a long
The
time.
90s.
Yeah.
I'm coming up on
Happy time, people. Happy 49th birthday, Jeff Saturday. He was a Pro Bowl center 6 different times, first team All-Pro twice. Saturday snapped the ball almost exclusively to Peyton Manning in Indianapolis and Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Played 14 seasons after being undrafted out of North Carolina.
Wow.
Was on the Colts Super Bowl winning team in 2006.
Don't like
so
that.
A lot of experts missed on him. Saturday became the interim head coach of the Colts in 2022. That did not go so well. They were 1-7. But not getting that job full-time got Saturday back on television, for which we are grateful, because he is a regular guest on this high-quality cable television show.
Jeff Saturday is great on television, but he was on that 2006 team I hate. I don't like that team.
They beat the Bears,
They
right?
beat the Bears in the
That's what
Super Bowl.
happened.
Lovey's Bears.
Not so happy anniversary, Phil Mickelson. On this day 18 years ago, Lefty had the lead at the U.S. Open at Winged Foot. Then on the 72nd hole, he had a drive off a hospitality tent and then hit his next shot into a tree. Mickelson ultimately double bogeyed the hole, handing the Open title to Jeff Ogilvy. The Open was Mickelson's white whale. He finished second or tied for second 6 different times. It's the only major Mickelson hasn't won. He has 3 Masters, 2 PGAs, 1 British Open. When he won the PGA in 2021, Mickelson became the oldest man to win a major ever, 50 years and 11 months.
And he never would have gotten there had he quit. He never would have gotten there if he'd rolled up into a ball because he choked on a putt or a drive into a
tree,
tent.
into a tent.
So he
fair
didn't.
point.
Right?
Fair point.
Phil didn't quit.
Happy trails
Ain't
to last
scared.
night's game for the Rangers. The champs were overwhelmed by the Mets 14-2. New York racked up 22 hits in winning their 6th straight game. They haven't lost since Grimace threw out the opening pitch. Coincidence? By contrast, the Rangers have lost 4 straight. Finished last night's game with catcher Andrew Kisner on the mound. So they'll welcome this good pitching news. 2-time Cy Young winner Jacob deGrom threw off a mound on Monday for the first time since reconstructive right elbow surgery a year ago. And 3-time Cy winner Max Scherzer is back from back surgery rehab, ready to make his season debut.
Maybe it's going to take a big move. Maybe they have it in them, particularly if they get those 2 Hall of Fame pitchers back and healthy over a sustained
Whoa.
Maybe.
Now you got DeGrom in the Hall of Fame.
He has to. He's had 2 sides.
He's
He's like
used to
13
knock him
and 12.
all the time.
No, I would knock the knuckleheads who kept voting him Cy Young for going 13 and 12 with a great ERA. I ain't knocking DeGrom, ever.
This is the new you. This is the new you. Let's go to the big finish.
new. I'm old.
The Dodgers say Mookie Betts, and I know you love him,
Mookie.
will need 6 to 8 weeks to recover from his broken hand. Your thoughts?
That's mid to late August. I hope he's back. I hope he can be Mookie by the time we get to Labor Day. That's the hope for me. Pirates rookie ace Paul Skeens struck out 7 over 6 in a 4-1 win over the Reds. I know you're impressed.
He's a total star. Now, my worry is the same worry that you have, that he'll go for Tommy John surgery by July 20th.
Yeah.
But he is a total star. Jeff Van Gundy is leaving his consultant role with the Celtics to become the Clippers' top assistant. Does that make sense to you?
Going to work for T. Lue makes sense. You don't know who the Clippers are going to have. I guess they could have Harden. Paul George is a free agent, could go wherever he wants. And, Kawhi, you don't even know how much he's going to play. I don't know. Good for Jeff Van Gundy. I know how much he loves coaching. I love him that he's back. WNBA scored its top TV audience in 23 years with Sunday's game featuring Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. You're not surprised, are you?
No, Caitlin Clark moves the needle, which is why I think she should be on the Olympic team, because she's ratings gold.
The needle.
Last one, your boy Jake Paul will tune up for Mike Tyson by boxing bare-knuckle fighter Mike Perry on July 20th. You intrigued by that?
No. I'm intrigued by Paul versus Tyson. I told you that.
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time. Jane Amsterdam, shout out.
Tina Thompson versus Lisa Leslie in that game X many years ago. I'm Mike Wilbon, same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on the app or Apple Podcasts. And now, your Sports Center. No countdown.
I'm going to go
What am I supposed to do? No more countdown.
With our PTI bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon. Do you agree with the choice of Jaylen Brown as Finals MVP?
Yes. And I can say it pretty definitively now, but I was uncertain last night, though, leaning toward Jaylen Brown. And, Tony, you could give this to Jaylen Brown. You could give it to Tatum. You could give it to Holiday. And as you mentioned, Derek White had a hell of a series. Yeah. So you could go a lot of different ways here. Jaylen Brown had 4 good games. He had good games in all good performances in all the games the Celtics won. And he did this other thing. He said, okay, old school. I'll take Luka. I know how great he is. I'll take him. I'll take him 60 or 75 feet. I'll take him. And he threw Luka off enough in that series for the Celtics to dominate the series. That, to me, helped swing it. So, yeah. And by the way, nobody's complaining about the Dallas Mavericks coach saying that Jaylen Brown's the best player anymore, because I know it was gamesmanship, but maybe he was right.
So this is one of those occasions where I don't like the award at all. And it has nothing to do with Jaylen Brown.
I was glad I didn't have to vote.
It has nothing to do with Jaylen Brown. It has to do with what the Celtics did in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The entirety of the playoffs, when they went 4-1, 4-1, 4-0, 4-1. They were great. They were dominant on all levels. Now, you can tell me certain people were injured when they came up against them.
Fair.
But it wasn't the case in the finals. So, to me, Game 1 was won by Porzingis. Game 2 was won by Holiday. Jaylen Brown was the best player in Game 3, and Jason Tatum was the best player in Game 4. This is one of those years where I would give the award collectively, and White was ferocious on offense and defense. I would give the award collectively to the Boston Celtics, and I would not have picked one over any of the others.
I was glad I didn't have a vote. And I'm talking to a longtime Celtics season ticket holder. I don't know his name, but I know his face, and we chit-chat during games for years. And he said to me late in the game, who are you going to vote for? And I said, I wonder if by rule you can split the vote between Tatum and Brown, because that's the way I felt. But I've had some time now. Jaylen Brown deserved it. He deserved that award.
I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. Right. I'm saying others were deserving as well. That's all I'm saying.
Can't argue that one. That's it. It's a wrap. We're done. Back to you.